Hello, this is week 8 of the 13-week fiscal program for American Prisoners of War. You have myself, Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Alligator, Chief Akibalon, and Chief Blackcoat will be joining us a little bit later. And again, here we focus more so on the first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. To start us off, we will have Chief Alligator read the 12 steps.
All right, American Prisoners of War, 13-week practical program of action for each American prisoner of war. Step 1, learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Step 2, who established that estate. Step 3, what tribe and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Step 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend, what's your position on reparations? Step 5, they either support it or they don't. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3. In addition, field trips to APOW landmarks in that city, county, and state are needed. Step 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Step 7, avoid spending money with any small business that doesn't hire your people. Gas stations, nail salons, subways, corner stores, etc. Step 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American businesses. Step 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our clubs, services, products, and entertainment. Step 10, the US government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold since Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off the full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American prisoners of war no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Step 11, teach your kids 1 hour a day about their history on this land. A, have them learn about an American inventor. B, have them know about our heroes. You gotta scroll down some. C, they should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. D, they should know the nation of people prior to European invasion, militarily and culturally. 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we're claiming, America, and attaches us to the history and laws of the US government. Every estate American prisoners of war live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. This in 13 weeks, one fiscal quarter will bring us together for our common cause. We haven't set a goal and accomplished one since 1965, Birmingham, what was that? The Montgomery bus boycott. So we almost 60 years as a group since we actually set a goal and accomplished it. So that's the steps.
Right. And you also had the inventor for this week, Chief Alligator.
Okay. Yeah. The inventor today is going to be Landreau Bell. He invented the smokestacks for locomotives. The federal patent number is going to be 115153. That invention date was May 23rd, 1871. His birth date is unknown and his death is unknown. We do not receive a percentage of income from the railroad industry due to that invention. Locomotive stacks on trains.
Thank you. Next, I'll go ahead and read the quote for this week. This week's quote, I wanted to go with quote 8 from Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And that quote is, "In the church, where we have much freedom and independence, we must get rid of preachers who are not prepared to help the people whom they exploit. The public must refuse to support men of this type. Ministers who are the creations of the old educational system must be awakened. And if this is impossible, they must be dethroned. Those who keep the people in ignorance and play upon their emotions must be exiled. The people have never been taught what religion is, for most of the preachers find it easier to stimulate the superstition which develops in the unenlightened mind. Religion in such hands then becomes something with which you take advantage of weak people. Why try to enlighten the people in such matters when superstition serves just as well for exploitation? And in this quote, Dr. Carter G. Woods specifically mentions preachers, but this can be for pretty much anybody who's exploiting our people. So one, the Congressional Black Caucus, anybody who's continuing to preach something different, especially nothing that is factual based or nothing that they can actually pull up as far as documents, goes for them as well. So we have a lot of these quote unquote preachers that are exploiting our people today. So again, this doesn't just fall on the preachers, but this falls on everyone who's pretty much exploiting our people for monetary gain and other gains. Next, we will have Chief Akibalan read the Maroon historical points, as well as the legal definitions. I'm gonna have you do the legal definitions first.
Resolve.
Go ahead, Chief Akibalan. Yeah.
All right, so for the legal definitions, American is an indigenous to America. Descendants is one who follows the bloodline of the ancestors, either lineally or collaterally. 3 is slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. 4 is prisoner of war, person, usually a soldier, who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. 5 is schooling, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. And 6 is education and enlightening experience. And then for the Maroon historical points, we have number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom or breaking the law. 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. 3, Maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. 4, Maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And 5, Maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans.
You're on mute, Chief Pico.
Good. Let me pull up the Constitution here. Make sure we get those readings as well. So if we go to Article 1, Section 10, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So again, anything outside of gold and silver coin pretty much aren't considered tender for debts. So anything that you're owing anybody on, if it's not being paid in silver and gold, it's really not considered paying off that debt underneath this Constitution, underneath their government. And also in this first line here, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation. So again, as we continue to debunk this thing or this myth of this Civil War, we understand it's a civil rebellion because underneath their Constitution, which these states pledged to, even after succeeding, they could not create a confederation. So they could never beat a confederacy. They were basically contradicting what they established in their Constitution. So definitely want to make sure that point is highlighted. As we go down to Article 6, the Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. So this is basically saying that the treaty is the supreme law of the land. We go back to last fiscal quarter. We read many treaties, Treaty of Payne's Landing, Treaty of Mochi Creek. All of those, though, were signed by a military, nobody within their government. So nobody within their legislative branch, executive branch, or judicial branch. So those are just things to keep in mind as we continue to read these different acts as well. You'll see who's actually signing off or who's actually enforcing these acts. And last but not least, our favorite, the militia. Section 2 here, the president shall be the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of several states. So again, not only is the president the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy, but also of the militia. So again, anytime, any type of insurrections or any type of rebellions need to be put out, the president can call not only on the Army, the Navy, but also on the militia. So again, these are concepts that we have to overstand when dealing with this government. Before we jump into the 1866 Civil Rights Act, definitely just want to give a brief overview of what we went over thus far. Went over section 1, 2, and 3 for the most part. Section 1, just to reemphasize, they were pretty much classifying or making a point of who they were specifically targeting or not targeting in regards to the Civil Rights Act. So as we, just a brief summary, they excluded Indians, which we know are the Americans. Indians being our family who moved west of the Mississippi into Oklahoma Territory. They excluded them, but nothing as far as in the wording said anything about Negroes, Blacks, anything that would even be remotely or specific to us, not even remote, anything that would be specific to our group of people, the Americans that did not move west of the Mississippi. So that's basically what section 1 was covering as far as identifying those persons and identifying those rights that they would be given underneath this Civil Rights Act. They were saying that they would have all equal rights to white citizens. And this is something that is new in regards to their dialogue, because reading the 13th to 15th Amendment had no such thing as a white citizen. They mentioned race and color, but nothing specific to white citizenship. So as we read this document and as we continue to work it, we're understanding that they're not talking to us, for one, and that the people that they are talking to are the European slave and peasantry that came over here via boat, that were battling amongst themselves. Because again, they had their own nationalities, had their own identities. They were clashing heads. So wouldn't they need a Civil Rights Act as well if they're not getting along? So kind of just keeping that in mind as we continue to build on this Civil Rights Act. Pull this up here. That show clearly for everybody? Good, okay, cool. I believe you left off in this bottom sentence, so I'll start here where it says, but in all cases where such laws are not adapted to the object or are deficient in the provisions necessary to furnish suitable remedies and punish offenses against law, the common law, as modified and changed by the Constitution or the Constitution and statutes of the state, wherein the court having jurisdiction of the cause, civil or criminal, is held so far as the same is not inconsistent with the Constitution and the laws of the United States, shall be extended to and govern said courts in the trial and disposition of such cause, and if of a criminal nature, in the infliction of punishment on the party found guilty. So again, just to kind of briefly summarize what was being read in this section here, section 3, was pretty much explaining what would be the punishment if the rights given within this act weren't abided by the citizens, basically. So it was explaining, you may get a misdemeanor up to 1 year. I know that was section 2. And in section 3, they're basically saying how anybody who has been identified as not being in alignment with this act, everybody would know within their district courts. So not only in their district courts, their state courts, as well as their magistrate courts. So everybody would know, it pretty much would be tagged, and everybody would know within that judicial system of what has occurred pretty much. So they basically were just outlining the judicial procedures that would take place in regards to the Civil Rights Act of 1866. I'll go ahead and start on section 4. And be it further enacted that the district attorneys, marshals, and deputy marshals of the United States and commissioners appointed by the circuit and territorial courts of the United States with powers of arresting, imprisoning, or bailing offenders against the laws of the United States and the officers and agents of the Freedmen's Bureau and every other officer who may be specially empowered by the President of the United States shall be, and they are hereby specially authorized and required at the expense of the United States to institute proceedings against all and every person who shall have violated the provisions of this act. So I'll stop right here. So basically, again, it's pretty much what I'm getting here from this beginning section is that anybody who the president has empowered as far as appointing anybody to make sure that this act is not only enforced, but also that the different circuit branches and the judicial system is also levying punishments on those who have been pretty much convicted of going against this act. So pretty much convicted of the crime of Civil Rights Act or civil rights crime. So what I'm seeing here is, again, just the president giving power to the commissioner, the agents of the Freedmen's Bureau, as well as, let me see.
Like he just empowered the slave patrol.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
pretty much that's what I'm getting here.
Mm-hmm. Do what you want.
Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, both of y'all just kind of touched on it.
Mhm.
Read off a lot, but if you could highlight in the first sentence, the DAs, the district attorneys,
Okay.
and at very top, marshals, deputy marshals, and then go down to the commissioners appointed by the circuit. You can highlight all of that, yeah, and territorial courts of the United States. That's a lot of bodies. You got DAs, you're gonna have one district attorney. You got marshals, which can go anywhere within the territory of the United States government, and then they're gonna have their deputies under the marshals, right? Then you got commissioners appointed by the different circuit courts and territorial courts. They got the powers of arresting, imprisoning, and bailing you against the laws of the United States government. And then you got the officers of the Freedmen's Bureau, which comes under the War Department. So you got a whole bunch of heads that are going to enforce this Civil Rights Act of 1866. What Chief Biko said earlier is correct. This whole act basically just describes the court, the judicial branch. It just breaks down what the court's powers are going to be. So now you're seeing who they're getting ready to finance to start pressing charges on anybody who violates this act.
Any thoughts
Wherever
on
you
that?
left off at, Chief Biko, I'll pick up.
Okay, right here on this act. So
Were you about to say something?
I was gonna see, Chief Akibalan, did you have any thoughts on that?
Nah, what Chief Alligator just said basically was what I was going to say.
Got you.
Yeah, pretty much just empowered your slave patrol. And cause him and them to be arrested and imprisoned or bailed, as the case may be, for trial before such court of the United States or territorial court by this act has conscience or how would I pronounce that word? Cognizance of the offense, and with a view of affording reasonable protection to all persons and their constitutional rights of involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof. Oh, I think I skipped something.
Yeah, you said constitutional rights, and then it's supposed to say constitutional rights of equality before the law.
of equality before the law without distinction of race or color or previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, and to the prompt discharge of the duties of this act, it shall be the duty of the circuit courts of the United States and the superior courts of the territories of the United States from time to time to increase the number of commissioners so as to afford a speedy and convenient means for the arrest and examinations of persons charged with a violation of this act.
What? My bad.
Right. So again, we're just going back to the powers this government is empowering the slave patrol system with. It's just pretty much telling you straight up. Let me go back where we're gonna go back.
This basically just said, yeah, there's no racism except for da 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 da.
Right, quote unquote.
We can't have you as a slave except for these times when you don't do what we say.
Right. Let me get back to where it said and cause here to be arrested or imprisoned as the case may be for trial before such court of the United States and territory as that distinction of race and color. Yeah, again, just empowering your court systems or anything within the court system to prosecute anybody to pretty much fall into involuntary servitude, which they'll be calling it here. Yeah, they're trying to play it like, the race game isn't a thing, but we always will know that's going to play a case into it. That's all I pretty much got.
Let me ask a question based on what you read. We probably want to chop down. I know there's no periods in there, but you probably want to chop it down. If you go back to that first "and" after offense, go down one. Yeah, right there, where it says "and with a view to affording reasonable protection to all persons in their constitutional rights of equality before the law." Up until this point, we haven't seen where this group has been entered under the Constitution specifically. So I'm saying that to say it rhymes 1866 to 1966. Why did you have to have two Civil Rights Acts? This is the first Civil Rights Act. Then there should have been no need for Martin Luther King and a second Civil Rights Act. This doesn't apply because we haven't read anything in the Constitution that specifically said anything about you. So that's our problem. We keep implying, we just take broad words like slavery and say, oh, that was us. Right? And so even if people, that's what we're proving at this point, even if people say, well, we were made citizens under the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, well, then how do you explain another 100 years of senseless killing with no court cases? Why did you have to walk on the other side of the street and you couldn't look at a European in their face or you lose your life? How could they hang you after church on Sunday and nobody go to jail? Why did you have to drink out of colored water fountains, sit in the back of the bus, give up your seat if the bus, come on, y'all. Come on, what is that? What is that? If slavery was abolished, then what is that for the next 100 years?
That's crazy.
Military occupation, if anything. But like you stated, we're steadily trying to attach ourselves to these terms like race, color, slavery, involuntary servitude, just to fit within something that is not meant for us. Like you stated, if this was actually meant for us, then how can we have a 1965 Civil Rights Act?
Right.
How can we have a segregation, a Jim Crow, and these other different things if we were supposed to be made citizens within the 13th to 15th Amendment? It doesn't rhyme, it doesn't line up.
Like I said, Martin Luther King coming into this picture and having to fight for civil rights for the persons that's not included into all of this, meaning us, the American. But he posed a good question: why do we continue to always think these apply to us? Once you read these documents, you know, yeah, you were just still on the outskirts, trying to join a party.
You want to continue to pick up here?
I think that's trifling.
Was that you, Peter?
So I just think that's trifling. Like it's just lies on lies on lies. It's like, all right, now it's like they keep trying to pull fast, and it's like, all right, now we can do this if everybody agree to it, but just don't say nothing about them. And if we don't say it nothing long enough, then they're not gonna really notice it. They're gonna think that they included too.
Well, I don't think so. It's just I feel what you're saying, but again, it goes back to us just believing we're a part of the system. Again, I don't think most people gave a fuck about, oh, let's act and pretend. No, they knew exactly what they were doing. We the people.
Oh yeah, true. That is.
If you think that you're a part of this, yeah, we'll go day to day with you thinking that it's not until you realize, oh, they're not talking about us. Now we got issues, right?
And there's
now
no action when you don't really, when you don't know stuff like this, it's less likely for you to put action behind it. Because before it's like without reading this type of stuff, you always think like, nah, I'm gonna wait till that one president get in, or I'm gonna wait till this person get in, and they're gonna help change it. They're gonna help us out for real.
Right.
But it's really never like that. Like if we got a whole group of people that's supposed to be speaking for us, and the people that's supposedly supposed to speak for us are not speaking for us, what makes us think that there's gonna be somebody that come out the shadows just willing to do it?
Because like you stated, they're all working for what? The same government.
Yeah.
They're all working for the same government. So of course they going.
What team you playing for? That's how it is.
Correct.
This government got some. This government's pretty powerful. As we read these documents, you can see how they wrote themselves, into power.
Can I interject one thing? Can one of y'all pull up on a browser the Dred Scott case just to see the date? Because as they're implementing this Civil Rights Act of 1866, I believe the Dred Scott case comes after this, where the judge tells him in court, the Negro has no rights that a white man has to honor, which is further proof that you're not part of this. But let's just get that date for the Dred Scott case.
Great point. Great point.
They still ain't get rid of us though.
Yeah, I think this is
so it was decided in 1857.
9 years before.
Okay.
Dred Scott versus Stanford.
Okay, so this comes after Dred Scott.
9 years after.
Okay, and we're still in alignment because again, 100 years went by after 1866 to 1966 before you were quote unquote made a citizen.
But you don't even have to read this stuff to know this stuff. This is like documented. There's videos of this stuff. When there was equality and all of that, people were still getting hosed down, killed. It's still going on today.
Right, but do you, Chief Akiblan, you understand that this is the 1866 Civil Rights Act. This is 100 years before.
Well, yeah, I know that. I'm just saying in general, like, even for the people who don't read this stuff, like, it should be evident that these people don't, like, care about you.
You're not a citizen in their eyes.
Yeah.
From their actions, like you're stating, I think their Chief Akiblan don't even have to read it. You can just tell by how they're treating you versus how they're treating other. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it should be common sense.
Yeah, like I don't remember exactly what the time frame was, but they got a whole Asian hate bill. They got their own hotline and nothing like that.
Correct.
But we gotta like fight to get a case where somebody literally shot a sleeping kid or something. That's crazy.
Correct. And that's just further proof. Like you're saying, it's decade after decade after decade further proves that we aren't citizens underneath this government. Because like you stated, how can we have our people continuously killed, yet no bills get passed, no protections, no resources? But like you just highlighted, Asian bill gets passed, actually gets written 1 week after the massacre murder in Atlanta. Get it passed within 90 days. So that just
I don't even think Flint got water still.
And this is important for your generation, just to let y'all know, my generation, when we were y'all age, that was the beginning of reality rap, or what they coined to be gangster rap. And so a lot of my generation, we weren't concerned with this. We were that first generation to go to school with everybody. And now here we are 20 years later, we're looking back and it's like, what happened? So if you want to know why you need to be up on game, it's because it's worse now for y'all in y'all 20s than it was when we was in our 20s. You see what I'm saying? They weren't killing the way they're doing. When they did Rodney King, we tore that shit up. We tore it up. Like, this is crazy.
people don't be really wanting to do stuff though. People, the internet has everybody just like wanting to say something instead of doing something or post something. Posting is what the fighting is these days. We do virtual riots and stuff. There is, of course, real riots, but there's not riots like it used to be. Like, it's not riots to the point where it's like, all right, you know, maybe we should just, you know, let these people get what they want. They kind of making it crazy for us. We're not making no money out there. I think we need to come to some type of common ground. They'll do something like everybody post a black screen, and then after 6 months it's gone. It don't matter no more.
Correct. Back to Chief Alligator. This information is so important because, again, we grew up not knowing this. So being a part of this fight moving forward, to equip yourself to move forward, you will need to know exactly this. Again, we're still confused. Like I guess somebody just said, we're still not citizens of this government today. I mean, by the way it looks, yeah. I mean, you don't, like you just brought up Chief Keep-On, you don't have a hotline because somebody keeps calling you a nigga. So,
nah,
you can't call them chinky eyes. You know, they can call somebody and then somebody might show up to your doorstep and lock you up. But you know, this information definitely moving forward. This is a part of being in the fight that we are having. You know, putting the information out for whoever to say like, what the hell going on? And then it's like, oh, okay. So again, just going back to what you were saying, you know, the internet is definitely full of whatever it is. Anybody with a personality, anybody on this platform called internet is, you know, you can go left and right, but that's all we try to keep, you know, in line with all this shit. It's just straight documents.
I just actually, I truly believe, this may be naive because I'm young, but I truly believe that everybody just like, if we figure out an actual plan, it would be a lot easier.
And they've been trying for years, you know.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we actually figure something out to where we're all on the same page and it not be 25 plans with 1,000 different leaders, then we'll have some leeway.
The only plan going forward now is, you know, to pretty much dissolve this government, however that can happen. But yeah,
there is a plan. Not that we don't want to beat up this section for too long, but there is a plan, Chief Keep-On. The plan is to benign and neglect this group and starve it out. That is the plan. You have, like you said earlier, you have a congressional Black Caucus. The plan is they've been ignoring you for 50 years. We're just now most of us don't even know who they are. So they've been able to get easy money and not do anything. But the plan is in effect. Erase us.
No, I know they have a plan, and I know they have a system, and their system isn't broken, it's working. I'm saying we need a plan.
Plan is, though, we gotta sit.
I'll say it. Nobody else want to say it.
We gotta sit our ass down,
we don't
man.
want violence. We want to do shit peacefully. You at a point where you can't do shit peacefully. Sometimes you need straightening. That's the point we at. I said it. We want to do everything but teach people how to treat us, including the people who look like us. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's like if somebody keeps stealing your lunch every day, you're not about to say, bro, please, you know, last Tuesday, I know we had our differences. Please don't steal my lunch again. You're going to punch him in the face.
We have for 50 years.
That's
Nah, I don't think we've been doing it to a certain extent for 50 years. I don't think violence has been happening every 50. I mean, all over 50 years. I feel like there's been a lot of peaceful protests, and I think that's becoming more the thing that the route people want to go to show that you can be peaceful. But I feel like that's just being docile.
like you said, we've been showing that. We've been showing that since before 1965. So the peace is obviously not working. So like Chief,
exactly.
No, you gotta protect yourself. That's just being in line with nature.
Yeah, like why would you try to be peaceful with somebody that's not peaceful to you?
Gotcha.
But I don't want to keep going because I can keep talking about this. That's just.
I'm gonna go ahead and finish up section 4 there.
All right.
And such commissioners are hereby authorized and required to exercise and discharge all the powers and duties conferred on them by this act, and the same duties with regard to offenses created by this act, as they are authorized by the law and exercised with regards to other offenses against the laws of the United States. So pretty much right there, it says in that first, right after that, and such commissioners are hereby authorized and required to exercise and discharge all the powers and duties conferred on them by this act. So pretty much allowing or letting them know anybody wrote into the Civil Rights Act as far as a power, being empowered. Again, as such commissions are hereby authorized and required to exercise and discharge all powers and duties conferred on them by this act. So that pretty much this act is, again, reiterating to actually exercise these powers at B. So exercise, you know, the powers you have, play with it, flirt with it, see what happens as it's moved forward up under this United States government, you know, exercise the law. That's what I get that.
So in short, what they just said was in the South, because remember, they just went through a civil rebellion. What they're basically saying is if I say, hey, you violated my civil rights, you got marshals, deputy marshals, and agents from the Bureau of the Freedmen's Bureau, right? Lock your ass up and make you post a bond.
Right, sound about right. Anybody want to pick up on section 5?
I'll do it. And be it further enacted that it shall be the duty of all marshals and deputy marshals to obey and execute all warrants and precepts issued under the provisions of this act when to direct it, and should any marshal or deputy refuse to receive such warrant or other process when tendered, or to use all proper means diligent to execute the same, he shall, on conviction thereof, be fined in the sum of $1,000. So they just told you who gonna serve their warrants under this Civil Rights Act. It's gonna be the marshals and the deputy.
And they gave them their own punishment too. It's like, if you're gonna work with us, you're gonna do this, or you're getting fined.
Yep, that's it. Yep, $1,000 fine if you don't serve these warrants.
Right. Now you can kind of see why they act a certain way or why they're so pressured to, you know, get out there and draw their weapon. I'm glad that somebody, yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, and understand that this is constitutional. So now you're understanding jurisprudence. The marshal is the law. We were talking about that last week. You got colorable law and you got the law. The colorable law would be municipality police departments. The law is always going to be sheriff, marshal, deputy marshal.
Makes sense.
Because they take an oath to the Constitution. Police officers don't take an oath to the Constitution. They're just statutory cops. So we need to understand the difference between a police officer and a law officer. They're not the same. Just think about people who work in your court and your county jail. That's the law. You'll never see a police officer working in a county jail or a courtroom. He's not the law. He's colorable law. He appears to be law, but he's not. $1,000, okay. To the use of the person upon whom the accused is alleged to have committed the offense, and the better to enable the said commissioners to execute their duties faithfully and efficiently. Okay, so again, we're just strictly talking about the marshals and the deputy marshals at this point. In conformity with the Constitution of the United States and the requirements of this act, they are hereby authorized and empowered within their counties, respectively, to appoint in writing under their hands anyone or more suitable persons from time to time to execute all such warrants and other process as may be issued by them in the lawful performance of their respective duties. So they also got the power to deputize you. It just said it, to appoint in writing under their hands. So whether you the deputy marshal or the marshal, if you need more manpower, because you going into quote unquote Indian territory to go snatch up some Americans, you can go ahead and deputize some of them peasants. Come on, you rolling with me. I just made you a deputy. Anybody want to build on that?
Makes sense. And that kind of falls in alignment with the Jim Crow laws and segregation in general.
Right.
That attitude, you know, like shit, don't worry, I just got deputized. We gonna go and fuck up some of their land and shit like that. So you can see how empowered them, because they understood that now, okay, well shit, I have some type of stature. Somebody's underneath me now who I can control because they've given me power. So the government has given their peasantry, their slaves, the power. So now that's how you can see how a motherfucker can come out his house and shoot a nigga jogging in the street. And that like, oh no, I'm good. So you can see the mindset that they have, and that pretty much just explained it to me right there.
Or take it back to Emmett Till. Let's go back in 1950s.
Mhm.
You looked at a European woman. That European woman runs and tell her husband goes down to the sheriff department. He deputizes everybody that's out there. It's a mob of them. They're ready to kill. Okay, y'all just can't go out and kill them as citizens. Let me cover y'all. Hold your right hand up, deputize you, and then they go out there, kill the young man. No charges. That's how we're reading now how they were able to kill you.
Get away with it.
Yep. All right. Anybody else?
Pick back up, or did you want to pick up there, Chief, to keep it line?
I'll finish.
I'm gonna pick up.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead. It's all, go ahead.
So right there. And the person so appointed to execute any warrant or process as aforesaid shall have authority to summon and call to their aid to summon and call to their aid the bystanders or posse comitatus of the proper county or such portion of the land or naval forces of the United States or of the militia. I'm gonna stop right there and then continue. What does that mean? Because I didn't get that.
Posse comitatus, a posse. That's a word for a posse is like a gang.
Yeah.
Well, I know what a posse is, but what's a comitatus?
That's the same word, posse comitatus. It's like
okay.
It's like a legalized gang, a lawful gang.
It's
They
like
weird,
how
bro.
you just explained the mob. They was able to deputize them and do whatever they wanted at that point.
That's wild. As may be necessary to the performance of the duty with which they are charged, and to ensure a faithful observance of the clause of the Constitution which prohibits slavery, in conformity with the provisions of this act. What conformity means, like togetherness, right? Making it say to performance of the
Unity.
and said warrants shall run and be executed by said officers anywhere in the state or territory within which they are issued. I'm gonna let somebody else expand on this before I do, because I want to like reread it.
Pretty much just after or where you read from, I just got further detailing how they can deputize and pretty much have that mob. Have that
Okay.
mob. How you can see people, in the streets with their pitchforks and torches and say, okay, yeah, we finna go round up this nigga because he allegedly whistled or did something to my wife or my son. So it's just showing how they can legalize it to cover themselves underneath the law, pretty much, in order to do that.
This is basically just like a handbook, like how to survive.
For the European, yeah. Because again, we don't have any of these benefits underneath this act.
It's not directed towards us. That's crazy. It's just crazy looking at this and like realizing it's just basically like a survival book.
And like
these are laws for the most part, but at the same time, it's really just telling you how to stay out of trouble and how to work in the system that they got working.
It's showing you how to be a white citizen. So because these people, they didn't consider themselves color, but again, that white is a status. So basically what this document is showing how to be considered white, how to have that status. You can be sworn in, you can be protected. If somebody says X, then everybody's coming to find X, find this person. So showing that, this is what it means to now be American underneath this Constitution.
Let me turn it another way, because I mean, all of y'all giving great explanations, but this is really just gangster shit. What Chief Akibelon just read, and the person so appointed to execute any warrant or process as aforesaid shall have authority to summon and call to their aid bystanders or posse comitatus of the proper county or such portion of the land or naval forces of the United States or of the militia. What they're saying is we will gang together to do violence on you. So we're back to what we were talking about in the previous section. You continue to want to march and pray where these people have a code of conduct that if you get out of line civilly, I can get a bystander and deputize you and say, come with me to go get him.
Would that
That's
be the
what we
same thing
read.
as like a citizen's arrest?
Basically, he can deputize you. He can get a bystander. He can get a gang, a posse standing on the corner. Hey, y'all come with me. So again, it's like we want to do everything but protect ourselves. We want to do everything but have a group of people that can get on the same time. Think about what we do when we see violence amongst our own people. We don't gang up and just say, hey, man, take the handcuffs off of them. That's basically what this is saying, what we're reading right here. You break their Civil Rights Act, he can have that whole town chasing your ass.
Just gonna throw this out there, you know, we're losing this war to literally the pen and the paper. What if we've had many great leaders that stood in front of us and, you know, push their perspectives, but all they're doing is literally send down pen and paper with 16 or whoever other folks in that room, and they're, you know, pretty much signing off on these things, and everybody else around them are rallying behind them. Our people don't rally behind us, you know. We already got many gang. This isn't like Chief Alligator said, this ain't nothing but some gangster shit. Gang. We did the gang part. Can we get intellectual with it and then actually rally behind our people? Like Chief Alligator said again, police officer comes and locks up one of ours. We come and say, hey, take that off of them. They're looking like, what? We're like, what? You know, we have to understand if they're not going to be a part of the system, well, okay, let's go ahead and let's get a mindset of our own system and how we're going to protect our own and move forward, instead of always think, oh, are we a part of it? Are we not? Oh, we're not a part of it. We don't get benefits from it. You get Section 8 of food stamps. That's about it. All right, let's try something else. But we don't want that. If Chief of Cuba Line, you know, if you said anything, yeah, we ourselves have to pretty much enact our own, you know, constitution on ourselves, because now we're confusing their game all over the place.
We got to get on code with one another, like you said.
This could be
and that's code. Exactly. They wrote their code down.
Yeah, this could be the legal definition of a sundown town. They basically come together and say, hey, if you catch one of them Americans in our town and the sun go down, I'm deputizing all of y'all. And some of them may even do business with you. And so that's where they put the white sheet over their head and call it the KKK. It ain't nothing but deputized motherfucking citizens to come get you. Come on, y'all.
X.
This shit gangster.
Wow.
Deputized everybody at night.
Yeah, why else would you hide your face? You might be the judge in the goddamn town.
The
Y'all don't even know I'm finna pull up on you.
And we saw that shit. I mean, it's highlighted. We see where they, hell,
who they are
in your movies. Hell, when you unmask them, oh yeah, he the marshal for this county. So what you think he did before everybody put on them sheets? So shit, even if you got him on, I deputize everybody who's here right now, and let's ride out. Great point there. Great point there, Chief Alligator.
We act like second-class citizens under this government. We act as if
we not the real people.
You know, there's this thing called law that got us so confused. But what is law and where did it come from and who enacted it? Does it look like you? No. Oh, so you want to just, you want somebody to control and pull your strings. So it's just like,
that's great.
The deputy can go in town and say, everybody, you're part of the gang now. We're going to go get little John from. So yeah, these are some, our ancestors, they got, I would say they got blindsided, It's like, whoa.
Went back to sleep, man. Went back to sleep.
We did. We're going back into a deeper and deeper sleep as we move forward.
Hypnosis. I'm gonna try to read a few of this section 6.
Did you finish that last section?
Yeah, right here he did.
Okay. That part where it says the Constitution which prohibits slavery.
Conformity. Conformity. Yeah, I remember him reading the conformity part. Did you want to come back to that, Chief Keevalon?
Y'all phones are breaking up. I didn't hear.
I said, did you want to come back to this part? I know you said after everybody broke it down, you kind of wanted to see if you comprehended for yourself as far as like what you got from it.
Oh no, when Alligator said the first thing he said, I said that's what I agreed to.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, he broke it down. Basically, I had an idea, but I wanted to hear what y'all said first to see if I was on the same page.
Makes sense. Here. Go ahead and type.
I'll pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Let me ask a question first, Chief Blackcoat. Is this racism or is this organized violence? This is really organized.
This is
organized
it's just
system of violence.
Yeah, it's organized violence. The violence part is what kind of throws, the whole narrative off, because we're thinking, oh, government is to, I guess, protect the citizens. You do for your citizens. You got to be a government to govern. So when the violence part comes in, it's kind of like, wait, are you our helper or our destroyer? We're playing games with ourselves. Section 6, and to be further enacted that any person who shall knowingly and willfully obstruct, hinder, or prevent any officer or other persons charged with the execution of any warrant or process issued under the provisions of this act, or any persons or persons lawfully assisting him been issued or shall rescue.
You skipped the sentence.
Yep. Could you follow me? Yep, thank you. The screen all bright, my eyes blurry right now. Context drying up. Persons or persons lawfully assisting him or them for arresting any persons whose apprehension such warrant or process may have been issued or shall rescue or attempt to rescue such persons from the custody of the officer, other person or persons, or those lawfully assisting as aforesaid when so arrested, pursuant to the authority herein given and declared, or shall aid, abet, or assist any person so arrested as aforesaid, directly or indirectly. I'm gonna start right there. That's a lot. I like how they like the continuation of words. I'm just now seeing what they do, continuously writing little things in. To the average person, you want you to be able to pick up on this, because it's just a continuation of what they're just going to keep allowing or writing into the law. So let's kind of break this down. From arresting any person, or we can go right there. Yeah, that any person who shall knowingly and willfully obstruct, hinder, or prevent any officer or the other person charged with the execution of the warrant or process issued under this provision of this act. All right, so right now we're talking about anybody right now breaking the law.
Not breaking it, willfully obstructing, meaning if they got a warrant for your arrest, and let's say I'm hiding in your house.
Okay.
So now it's empowering them to put a cape on their back. Not only do they have the right to deputize any damn body who look like them to come get your ass, posse, ordinary standby person. If you assist in me getting away, now they're saying what can happen to you. So yeah, that's why they on 10. That's why they chest stuck out in society, because you can't do a damn thing when they coming for you, basically.
Right. And it's just like that today, that overhead fear of the boogeyman, whoever the boogeyman is. Apparently they got there's a boogeyman out there. Not everybody bleeds like this boogeyman. So
let me give you a practical, my mind is running now. Let me give you an example of how they can take over a town. Let's say they write up a bullshit warrant like they do now. Let's say they write up a bullshit warrant for Chief of Keebelon, and Chief of Keebelon runs a town. Let's say he runs blank town, and everybody on this video helps Chief of Keebelon to hide. They can lock up everybody in that town and say all of y'all assisted.
That's what.
Yeah, you're obstructing us serving this warrant on
because he's in that town, right?
And they can just take the whole town because they can say you're obstructing. What chance do you have in their judicial branch system to prove otherwise?
Right. You're not protected. You're not a part of it. This is what it's showing you. Mm.
Just that easy. What you just read is them saying that any person who shall knowingly and willfully obstruct, hinder, or prevent any officer or other person charged with the execution of any warrant or process issued under this provision of this act, or any person or persons lawfully assisting him or them from arresting any person. So basically, they can accuse all of us saying, hey, all y'all trying to help Chief Keebalan get
No, like you said, you know, this is the next level shit. And who the fuck taught, like, so this has to be your elite coming over from Europe. This has to be your college class or your people that, whatever they would call themselves, because to write this up and to write it in this type of nature in 1866, yeah.
I think it's confusing still. I don't feel
No,
like
it's supposed to be.
language.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't think this is like our language of stuff.
Yeah, Chief Alligator can, you know,
That's because he reads law.
You're supposed to be confused. Come on.
Well,
There's a way of getting this.
I heard it's called legalese, like the language that they use in legal terms called legalese.
Exactly.
Keep in your mind when we're reading this, just keep in your mind gangster shit. Keep in mind that they have manhunters in the room telling the lawyers everything they want to be able to do. So what they're saying is, look, when we go manhunting, anybody who stops us from getting this person, you need to have our back. And so you got to think like that. Whereas what we have is we have preachers and classroom people writing up politics. No, you got to have the hunters in the room too. That's all they're doing. They got their killers in the room telling them, if I goddamn go serve this warrant, you better have my goddamn back. That's all this shit is saying.
Facts. No, you're right. You're right. And I want to see what the hell the 1965 one got, because
that's all I've been thinking about.
Like, I want to see if any of these things are like taken out, because like you said, it's basically showing a right to kill, and not only from, you know, their marshals and officers and things of that nature, but the regular citizen, anybody who they deputize.
Yep, exactly. Yep, empower your deputies to deputize. So they're just, you know, they're in line. They got structure going on, but it empowers their whole group to make sure they stay on top.
Correct.
That's something we can kind of pull from their book. Not saying that we all, you know, we read our Maroon points and we do what we do every day, and we see how our ancestors fought. But now we can kind of pull a page from this book. You know, all of us has to, you know, you got to come together when they're doing whatever they do.
That's how you learn how to do it. You have to learn the enemy first. You gotta learn what they did, how they won.
Exactly.
Said we just doing what we read in the Maroon historical points. First and foremost, military figures were the leaders. They knew their European, the enemy's language, defenses, and plans. I mean, that's what we doing right now.
Literally.
Can you see how we're out of alignment when you get the preachers who they make leaders and they come from a moral standpoint and we all need to get along, but that's not in their language in their documents. They're not talking nothing about morality. They're talking about giving as much manpower as possible to come get your ass.
And it's funny
to assist you going down with your ass.
And it's funny how you mentioned that too, because it just shows how out of fucking whack our people are. Y'all think this should apply to us and we didn't follow this shit? Just imagine if we did follow this shit. You see what I'm saying? So this is supposed to be applied to us, but yet we don't follow it. So subconsciously, you already know this ain't for us, because you're not doing anything in this shit. Like you said, you're not aligning up. You're not ready to go to fucking arms and kill some folks for shit that's legally given you or supposed to be giving you if you're saying that this applies to you.
We got big-headed. You know, when we read those inventions, that happened, you know, during these times that we're reading about. So we got big-headed. We didn't catch on to the cat and mouse trick. You know, we really allowed this European armies come over and pretty much bamboozle us. You know, But like what you said, Chico, how we read this and not and apply it to ourselves. You're a part of this shit. We're the deputy too. Let's ride. But at this point, I try to put the picture in my head as far as like what's going down here. I got some people that live down there in Thomasville. They got a community of 20 people in this area. Are white people just storming in to 100 deep and just doing whatever they want? Like, I'm always trying to understand what was going on actually and how it had to be brutal. It had to just be straight gangster shit. Like we continue to reiterate because now we're here in the future and we're still playing pussy.
And it's funny too, because like our people will pick apart what applies to us within a damn document.
Right.
You see, they saying this applies to every citizen, right? Underneath their government. But we would say, oh no, we're supposed to have the first two parts. We're supposed to have the rights of the white citizen. We're not supposed to be able to do this or be able to deputize anybody or be able to be, hunted or hunting folks like that. That doesn't, we only had the first section. Right. So even when we show them like, okay, we say, okay, say it applies to us, then why are we doing this? Only the first two parts. It's always like, again, trying to attach ourselves, and then we say, okay, attach yourself. Oh no, that's morally incorrect. That's not what people says.
I see what you're saying. I'm following.
You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. You got to stand on it. Just playing after you see so much damage that has already happened. Right now we're talking about the 1866 Civil Rights Act. You have the dogs being sick on people and all these crazy things. We're talking about the 1800s. So I like what you're saying, Chief, because how were they out there playing into the consideration of being a part of this government, but not also empowering themselves with this government wrote in?
They weren't empowering themselves. If you talk to your grandparents or your great uncles or your great, they didn't deal with these people. It was on site. Somehow we've forgotten that it was on site. If they came in our area, we knew that it was all bad.
Your ass, look, you may not make it back. You probably ain't gonna make it back.
Yeah, it was all bad, and all it took was them to knock on your door and say, "Hey, we looking for Chief Akebelon. What'd he do? Come on out." If you said, let me just play devil's advocate so we can get through section 6. Let's say you said, "Oh, I am a part of this government now, due to the 1866 Civil Rights Act and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment." If I'm a European, I'm gonna say, where in them documents, boy, do it say anything about a nigga having rights? See the game? Mm-hmm. That's all they gotta ask you. Show me in this document, boy, were you a citizen? It don't say it. Don't say it. Which is why your ass was swinging from trees for the next 100 years. This aligns right with history. This is why your ass was segregated. This is why you couldn't drink from a white water fountain. This is why you had to ride in the back of a bus. Why? This shit was in order. If you didn't want to give up your seat, that European could get off that bus and wave down the nearest officer, get deputized. They can go in there, snatch your ass off that bus and hang you right there. That's real. That's why the police can sick their dogs on you. The fire department can hit you with water hoses. Man. Let's see if we can finish section 6. We got a short-term memory. We don't like to look at how we got fucked over. That's our problem.
You like to forget.
It probably creates too much damage within the heart.
I don't think we forget. I just think we forgive all the time.
That too. That right there too. Keep it on. Because you can't really forget this.
We don't forget we get Black History Month every year. That's all they remind us of. They don't tell us about the good things that we've accomplished. Or like
Black History Month even a real
the inventors that we have that we've brought to the world and things like that. It's just about how we were getting hung and how MLK was such a great person for us, and we should just be happy with the progress that we've quote unquote made.
Right. Today's time, as far as Black History Month, I remember, growing up, we used to have a lot of different things going on from the school to just the community as well. Today's time, I'm not really, whatever, but like, what do we do for Black History Month today?
Yeah.
What's out there? What programs and how do we flourish this month before it ends in its 28 days?
Like, we learn about the Battle of Moultrie Creek of the Seminole Wars.
you know, that should be implemented somewhere, you know, that be in our history, our true history.
Where did you stop off there, Chief Black Coat?
Right.
Was it
See if we could just finish
Hold
the
on.
section. He stopped at been
Way down there.
shall rescue or attempt to rescue such person from custody of the officer, other person or persons.
I see you. Is it right above it? Okay.
Yeah,
Or shall-
touchdown.
What's that, Chief Kilo on?
What happened?
Oh, okay. I know we thought you said so. But okay, picking back up. Or shall rescue or attempt to rescue such person from the custody of the officer, other person or persons, or those lawfully assisting, as aforesaid, when so arrested pursuant to the authority herein given and declared, or shall aid, abet, and assist any person so arrested, as aforesaid, directly or indirectly, to escape from the custody of the officer or other person legally authorized, as aforesaid, and shall harbor or conceal any person for whose arrest a warrant or process shall have been issued, or as aforesaid, so to prevent his discovery and arrest after notice of knowledge of the fact that a warrant had been issued for the apprehension of such person, shall, for either of said offenses, be subject to a fine not exceeding $1,000 and imprisonment not exceeding 6 months by indictment and conviction before the district court of the United States for the district in which said offenses may have been committed, or before the proper court of criminal jurisdiction if committed within any one of the organized territories of the United States. So that was a lot. Anybody want to speak on that? Chico, yeah, I see you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, they just very detailed in all the ways possible that you would help somebody that they got a warrant for. They've crossed all T's and dotted all I's. They will lock your ass up. You got 6 months.
No matter where you at, who you with.
Right. You can
Right.
conceal them. Everything you
Whatever.
just read, you can if you harbor and conceal them,
Right.
if you obey, if you aid them, yeah, basically they got it all broke down. Basically, if you look at the motherfucker, your ass going to jail with him. If we got a warrant for you, yeah, you just aided him because you looked at him. We don't know what.
Right, and you know, that's another downside to our group not having that protection or having that group for protection. What's it called? Not you know, when the immigrant flees his country, he's looking for whatever. I forget the key name, but that's our group. We don't have anywhere to kind of run to and flee for when we get in trouble within this government and actually have real protection and then be court against court. We're just automatically falling up under that system that it'll never work out for us in the right way.
Let me give y'all a real life example, especially Keith for Chief, well, all of y'all, because y'all need to understand how they run this system. Let's take that guy that got killed in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago, Amir Locke, right? What we have to understand reading this document, once that judge signed that order for a no-knock warrant, that pretty much gave those deputies the right to kill him. Because they can always come back and say, hey, I followed your order. You gave me an order. You gave me a no-knock warrant. And so I executed it. You see what I'm saying? So how do you reverse engineer that as a person that's melanated under this system and keep yourself out of it? They only can see paperwork. So the way you reverse that is if a sheriff is in your face pertaining to a particular subject matter, you give him the document because he has to follow that judge's order. That's all he's trained to do. He's not trained to think. He's trained to follow a judge's order. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we have to know this in order to keep your ass safe. Bottom line. In today's world, when he run your tag, if your tag say you got a warrant, he's doing exactly what this 1866 Civil Rights Act doing. He finna call for backup, and they finna come rope your ass off.
And what you're pretty much saying is pretty much governing yourself, knowing the law and governing yourself correctly. I'm with you.
Because that's what they're doing. They can do no wrong because it's gonna go back to the judge that signed the order. You see, that's why nobody got arrested in Minneapolis for killing Amir Locke, because to get him, you got to look at the judge who signed the no-knock warrant. Then you got to look at the chief of police. Then you got to look at the mayor. They're not gonna do it. He's just operations. And they understand that. You see what I'm saying? They understand that hey, once I get that order, goddamn it, whoever in that house, their ass is grass. I got the no-knock warrant. And they get off on that. You got to understand that. They get off on that. We got a no-knock warrant tonight, boys. Get some good rest.
Mm-hmm.
They hope they catch somebody in that bitch slipping. It's real.
Hey, man. The game. Dude, we done finished off section 6, so we can stop here and pick up section 7 on next week. We got a few more after section 7. It's kind of small sections we got to read through.
Yeah, should be able to finish it next week.
Yeah.
And this should clear up for all of us. This should clear up how you get what's that, Lake Lanier in North Georgia, how that's an underground American town.
Right.
Hear about towns that got flooded or killed everybody in the town with a massacre. All they needed was something like this to say, oh, they're harboring somebody we got a warrant for.
And look,
just that simple.
Other legally authorized persons. So again, not even actual officers, like you stated. We just appointed you. Hey, you can join us too while we go ahead and flood these folks out, rope them off, take their land, take their towns. So, yep, this document is basically illustrating how that was done, how all of the Greenwoods, the Tulsas, all of these major massacres of our people in these towns, this is the document highlighting how it was done.
Said it. How did they all get away with all this?
And I believe when you brought up Tulsa, I believe, don't quote me on this, I think Tulsa started because an American got on the elevator with a European and she said he bumped into her. But it makes sense now. All she had to do was go run right down to the sheriff's office. I got attacked by this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Deputize the whole town. We come at night, we burning every house down, killing everybody in the house.
And shit, like it's war. It's legit war.
Man, I'm just like,
they legally.
We'll see how old I get. See if I become 80 years old and we still be out here, you know. We'll see if we can pick up that baton and actually continue this race.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Stop right there.
It just ain't no way niggas is just. These I read because yeah, we're definitely understanding how this government could pretty much just fuck us over.
Yeah.
They empowered themselves. Yeah, we're gonna write ourselves along, empower everybody through it. You know, don't ever worry about getting in trouble. We got you. I'm the deputy. You know, so it's just fuck, man. We gotta catch on to these schemes. Really, like when she
they talk about that in a sense in the Emmett Till show.
It's an Emmett Till show.
Yeah, and the Emmett Till show, that the same thing happened basically in the show. Of course, you talked to the white lady, but she didn't even tell her husband. Some of the people heard about it or whatever. Basically, the town spoke and they deputized everybody in the town to basically go find and get him too.
That's what happened with the manhunt. And they beat him to death.
So did this act apply to us, or did it empower the everyday peasant that came from Europe? It empowered the everyday peasant that came from Europe. It gave them status under the government.
You know, we walking around and we'll wear a t-shirt talking about civil rights.
Did you actually read the
Use.
document?
Right, you know.
And like you said, yeah, and that goes for everything we've read thus far. Freedmen's Bureau. Did you actually read that document? Why you think we supposed to get 40 acres in the
But see, that's how they win on us. You know, it's just not starting to hit us or hit me on how we lose. You don't read it.
Don't read.
As soon as I'm get past, we should all be like, oh, that didn't say shit about us. And you stay on their heads. We get they'll confuse us by throwing somebody we care about name on it, and we're thinking it's representing us. Oh, George Floyd Act. Actually, they threw that one away, so that they don't really talk about that one. That was too much of a good act. I'll just bring the Sandra Bland Act. Oh, Sandra Bland. We don't read it.
That's
we don't know what that act talking about.
That's what I'm trying to share with y'all generation. That's my generation fault, because my parents, my aunts and uncles, those people that was in office in the 90s, they were against rap music, particularly reality rap, which is what they call gangster rap now. Who
was against it?
Dolores Tucker, a lot of people,
right? People ain't right
like us. They were like, no, but we were that first generation to go to school with everybody. So we would listen and learn about what happened in the 60s, but we're competing with these people in sports and football, basketball, track. We're watching them. So we don't see them the way our parents saw them.
Right.
So hip hop culture, I grew up on it, meaning my first tape was Run DMC, Raising Hell, and Beastie Boys. Do you know how empowering that is to hear 20-year-old black men, Public Enemy, hearing these voices early in life? You're never afraid to stand for yourself or represent. You see what I'm saying? But then it turned when the reality rap came, or when gangster rap came. And again, I'm not knocking gangster rap. I'm just saying I can look back now as a middle-aged person and I can say, damn, I see the damage it did, because the energy we spent in memorizing the music, we disconnected from what this system was doing. So Joe Biden was able to do a 94 crime bill and lock half my generation up. You see, and then we go right back and vote for him a year and a half ago because we're clueless. And so here we are now. They know that we're mentally dead. I hate to say that, but it's like we're mentally dead at this point. And so now you even got immigrants, undocumented immigrants don't even have respect for you, because they even pay attention to what they're going to get from this government. They watch laws. We don't even watch laws. Just entertain us. And that Brian Flores situation is a prime example of, here this man was a head coach and he filed a class action lawsuit so that more people who look like him can get head coaching opportunities. Everybody in that league should have signed on to that action, but because they didn't, now he's got a job as a linebacker coach. So he took a demotion for standing up for y'all, for us. And in turn, when they looked at their viewer numbers for the Super Bowl, you got niggas talking about that was the best performance ever. So yeah, they're like, yeah, them niggas don't want to own nothing. They don't want to be serious and really run something. These niggas just want to play. And that's how you get treated.
No, but that's
real talk.
Treat us as such though.
Treat us
because as such. we are doing it. We are. Yeah, greatest. And I mean, I hate being that guy that can just be like, damn guys, Brian Flores is getting fucked over right now. Let's kind of stay together and turn this off right now so we can show them, hire some niggas in there. No, here's Mary J. Blige, 50 Cent hanging upside down, lose our minds. But what hurts me the most is we can't even afford to go to Super Bowl. So who do you think they performing for? Ain't no niggas in the Super Bowl. You got LeBron James, people of that stature, but the average Negro, you ain't want nobody in the Super Bowl.
But you got to see the chess move. The chess move is he wanted more head coaches.
Right.
They turned it in less than 30 days and gave him a job. Less than head coach.
Less than head coach.
I
got bills to pay.
Well,
so nobody rallied behind me. I tried to run with you niggas. Gotta sit his ass back down. I mean,
So now we ain't got to hear about that for another 20 years. We don't have to hear about these niggas talking about why they not head coaches, because here's the second chance in 5 years. Colin Kaepernick, Brian Flores, you niggas just want to party in the middle of a goddamn pandemic. Give them what they want.
Don't even complain no more at this point.
Well, man,
Yeah, don't even complain no more. When Mike Tomlin gets fired, because I think he's the last black head coach using
he
that
will
term.
get fired.
When he gets fired, don't complain about another 20, 30, 40 years passing and no black American head coaches.
And niggas so trash. I brought up Mike Tomlin, I think, sometime last week in a discussion with somebody. I'm like, well, you know, shout out to Mike Tomlin for still holding it down out there, and we got them boys a ring. And another Negro, black guy, fuck Mike Tomlin, this and that. I'm like, oh, that's a black head coach in the NFL. What you mean? He ain't did nothing since. I'm like, hold on, bro, you got the wrong. You worrying about the game more than the brother. What you talking about, bro? That man, you know, he out there representing right now, and you worrying about his wins. We're so, I don't know where we live anymore. We're somewhere weird.
We don't care about power. We don't care about ownership, and we don't care about being protected under this government. I'm gonna say it again. When Congress did not vote to pass the George Floyd Act and niggas said nothing, to me, that was a nail in the coffin. It's like, damn, boy, we in bad shape. Because what the fuck was 2020 for?
Right.
You did that to get protection from the federal government and against their police. No laws change. And 3 murders have happened in the state of Minnesota. George Floyd, Dante Wright, and Amir Locke. No federal protection.
Wow, yeah.
So you look at the trend is obvious. And so you can, the people that they put on pedestals, they can pontificate, they can talk about it intellectually and make it sound good. The reality of the matter is we have to do what every other group of people on planet Earth do. You have to have a protection group. That marching, that praying shit, all it's doing is getting you killed. The family is getting money. You know, we'll say that. The family of the deceased person, they may get a silk, they may get a bag, but they're gonna put a gag order on you so you'll never say nothing else about it for the rest of your life for them to give you the bag.
That just shows you how fucked up our mindset is too. We worry about this fiat more than actually getting justice in natural law justice.
Because you're the poorest group under this government. Let's be real. Prisoners of war, aka black people, aka Afro-American, aka minority. You're the poorest group under this government. Why not give them a settlement for fiat? They ain't got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it.
And you're gonna bite on that because you have nothing.
Yeah, you
Poorest
got
mentally, financially, physically, the poorest, all 3 aspects too.
I mean, the statistic is already out. Quote unquote African Americans, what is this, 25? They saying about 2053. We'll be, I don't know how old, but we'll still be here. Pretty much our cost of our, what is it? What's the word they use?
You'll have no wealth. You'll have little to no wealth.
Yeah, 0 to no wealth. But the fact that it's going to be at 0, you're just like, are we not paying attention to what the fuck is going on?
Well,
like,
that's directly tied to my generation dying off because I'm Generation X. So most of my generation is in prison. I'm going to say 30%. I'm going to say 30% of the men from my generation are in prison or have felonies. I'm going to say 70% of my generation has felonies. So you're relegated to low income, menial work. You don't have career oriented opportunities. You just have jobs, right? Then you add on what we were talking about last week. Most of us don't have legal rights to our children. So you can't pass anything to the child because the child is really the state's. So they're looking at the whole play and they're like, yeah, by the time this generation die off, they kids, fuck, they ain't getting nothing.
They ain't getting shit. And if they, yeah, and that even ties into the whole, like again, the financial IQ of our people is so crazy where God forbid, your son dies, but you more so worried about the financial aspect that being crunk could possibly get you versus already having shit in order. Your child died, you got your life insurance or something that can cover it, so you ain't even worried about the financial gain. You want an eye for an eye. I want to make sure this motherfucker who put my son in the ground, or my daughter, or my husband, or my wife in the ground, I want to make sure they get their ass in the ground. Don't worry about no goddamn fiat. But again, we so out of order with everything where it's like, well, we couldn't get that. I guess we'll have to take the money. Like, what? That shit crazy. That shit is wild to me.
They're not projecting that 2053 number that Chief Blackcoat brought up for nothing. They have mathematically done the formula, and they're saying, okay, this is the first generation, Generation X, that went a college degree in math, mainly the women. And so that's a liability that they already have on their financial statement. By the time the mortgage and the car, they got a negative net worth. That means they die with nothing. That's how they're looking at it. 2053, when this Generation X dies off, they're not going to leave nothing for their kids. And they're already propping up the Afghanistan refugees with $500,000, illegal immigrants getting 450, gays about to get reparations. So they're making sure everybody's propped up. And now it's just a timeline they're starving us out in real time. They're starving those of us that understand. We're fighting against that the best way we can. Most of us don't even understand. They're starving us out.
And see it. I ask Chief Deacon and Chief Delegated that all the time. How the fuck did we make it this far? Like, how are we here? Ain't no way.
Nigga luck.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just luck. We gambling right now, and we just happen to have enough money to keep gambling.
And we just so happen to have enough strength and courage to keep gambling. Because we're hanging on by, 2053 is right there, man. I think I'll be in my 40s or 50s. So it's like 30 years. Yeah, I'll be in my 50s. And, my entire group is worth zero. Zero. I don't even know what that is.
You're there now. You don't run anything. Look around your neighborhood, drive around your city or your county. Look at what you see
there now
that you run. You don't run anything.
There is nothing. Right.
Immigrants have industries, gas industry. Any gas station you stop at outside of racetrack and Quick Trip, them the only two gas stations hire your people. Everything else is straight Indian. People ain't hiring. You people got money. Them people ain't got to go vote. Them people can go buy that goddamn politician. Your po ass out there marching, talking about no justice, no peace, no racist. Everybody on the TV, everybody at home looking at you like, these fucking niggas, we need to get rid of them. And I hate to say it like that, but that's the propaganda through television.
No, seriously.
It's like, let's get this to be the new normal. They get
cost too much.
Let them march. Right. Yep.